hello, everybody. This is Carla, and welcome back to the studio. And this is Throwback Thursday. So, this is kind of a special Thursday because it's not only Throwback Thursday, where I'm using some of my retired stash, which will be using the Ghoulish Goodies stamp set. Say that really fast. Ghoulish Goodies stamp set. Now, this is an individual stamp set. There were no dies, no punches that went with it. So this is what I'm going to be using for my Throwback Thursday. And then also posting today, right after this one, or it may be about the same time, because again, I'm recording these earlier, but they will be scheduled for Thursday morning or this morning. So we're kind of wrapping up our Halloween. We didn't do a whole lot this time, like we did last year. So today, the Thursday, is going to be Ghoulish Goodies. Now, it just so happens that Halloween also falls on Thursday this year. So there's going to be another video that I'll be doing where I will be using the Playful Ghost stamp set. I believe that's the one that I am using. Yeah, I got stuff like all over the place. Um, Playful Ghost. If that's not what I said, that's what I'm using. So that's coming out today as well. Now, one of the things I do want to cover, usually I do this during my actual Friday night lives, but I want to kind of announce it today as well because this is actually the last day for it. So, Stampin' Up! Has a couple of things that are going on. Our kids collection, you can save up to 30% off on these. There's a variety of different types of kits. There's card kits, treat packaging, home decor, and much more of some other stuff. This sale goes on until the end of today. So today's the last day for this sale on the kits. Um, this doesn't really have an end date to it. I think it's a matter of Stampin' Up! Depleting any of the product that they had purchased from Close to My Heart. As you know, a few months ago, Stampin' Up! Did bring on some of those makers that were with Close to My Heart. Close to My Heart had closed their doors. So some of the products that they did have available, Stampin' Up! Had purchased it, and it was only available to those former makers and their customers. A little bit down the road, they then opened it up to where all demonstrators, all customers could order these products. And these products here, these are the ones that do have the Close to My Heart name on them. This is kind of the stock that they brought on that they're looking, I guess what they're doing is they're looking to kind of sell it off. So then there's more stuff that's coming on in its place. Now, there's a few things that they had, flip flaps. They had their own ink. They had two-tone cardstock. There was some scrapbooking workshop kits, and I think there was even some stamp and die sets that were specific to them. So I think what they're doing is they're looking to kind of get rid of that stock. And going forward, everything is going to be labeled under Stampin' Up. Now, Stampin' Up! Decided that, well, they were going to kind of help those makers out by bringing them on. Plus, they wanted to get back into the 12 by 12 traditional scrapbooking. They did quite a few years ago, and now that they're bringing it back, so we're going to have two-tone cardstock as well. Now we're not doing away with our 8.5 by 11 cardstock, which the color goes straight through the cardstock. The two-tone, one side is darker, the other side's lighter, and it does have a white core. So we will continue to have our cardstock, but in addition, in our new annual catalog that'll come out next year, they will be offering the two-tone cardstock in all of our Stampin' Up! Colors. So right now, this sale, the 30% off is going on. They really didn't give an end date to this, so I'm thinking it's basically while supplies last. One other thing that's happening as well, they're having a starter kit special. Typically, the starter kits cost $99 plus tax. The shipping is free, and you would get to choose $125 in product of your choosing. Now, this product is basically anything that you see in the online store. So it's stuff from our current annual catalog, our holiday mini catalog, our online exclusives, things that are in the kits collection, the clearance rack. So you get to choose what it is that you want in your starter kit. Now, again, like I said, typically for the $99, you get to choose $125 in product. During this special, which ends today, October 31st, you get to choose an additional $30, so it's $155 a product for $99 plus tax. In the starter kits, other than that product, you're also getting some business type materials. Now, these are like, some of our current catalogs. Um, and you also get a sample of a previous paper pumpkin kit so you can see what the kits are all about. Now, when you get the starter kit, you become a demonstrator with Stampin' Up! Now, do you have to do your demonstratorship as far as building a business where you're doing videos, you're holding, like say, in-person classes or online classes? No, you do not have to. I mean, you can simply enjoy the 20% discount on your products. Plus, you get all the other perks that all demos get. You get to see new catalogs earlier before it goes live to customers. Plus, you also get to pre-order new products like a month beforehand. Currently, at the moment, there's going to be some more new online exclusive items that will be available to everyone in November. But right now, demonstrators are able to pre-order those products. So if you want, you can put that in your starter kit. And the way that you would see all those items is when you go through choosing your items for your starter kit, you will be able to see those items. And if you want to add them, you can add them. Um, for this, there is a quarterly minimum that you have to meet, but you would not need to meet this until the end of March of next year. So if you have any questions at all regarding this, my email is in the description. Please feel free to reach out and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. And again, this also ends today as well. Now, for my team, I have some people that have a desire to want to build a business, but when they first started, they just wanted the discount on their products, and that is totally fine. It's your demonstratorship, so you can do with it what you want. I am always going to be here for you and to support you in whatever your decision may be. And again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. Okay, so now let's get started into our project. So this is my Throwback Thursday video. So that means I'm creating two projects using the featured stamp set or bundle or sweep, depending on whatever it is I'm using. And again, like I said, the Ghoulish Goodies is a standalone stamp set, and we're going to create two projects with this. So let me bring in the pieces and parts and everything that we're going to need for our first card. Now, ahead of time, I already did a lot of the cutting and embossing and all that other kind of stuff. So let me pull out first off the stamps that I'm going to need for this. So I got my cat and I got my greeting. Okay, let me put that aside and let me bring in some blocks. Now I didn't put the stickers on the backs of these. One of the reasons why I don't is if you look at this stamp, you'll see that there's like very little edging of the rubber underneath the greeting here, and yet there's more up at the top here. If I put the label on, it's going to be centered. So if I have it turned this way and I'm looking at the label, it's going to be off some just simply because of the way it was die cut from the rubber. So what I do is especially when it's something with a greeting, I look at the base of the greeting and I try to line it up with the bottom edge of the block. So this looks pretty good. So I'm going to set that aside. So I have here a piece of basic black. This measures 8.5 by 5.5. I've scored it at 4.25. I have a piece of Smoky Slate. This measures 5.25 by 4. I'll be stamping on this plus embossing it as well. I have scrap pieces of basic white and basic black. And then I have a piece of this DSP. This DSP measures 4 by 2.5, and let me show you what paper that is. That is the Magic in This Night Designer Series paper. There's Basic Black, Blackberry Bliss, Cajun Craze, Pretty Peacock, and Whisper White, or what we call now Basic White. So this is part of a suite of products, and I'm just using this piece right here. Okay, so I'm going to start off. Now, because this is a red rubber stamp set, what I'm going to use is some of my black StazOn ink rather than the Tuxedo Black Memento. Now, the difference is that the Memento ink is a water-based ink. That's the type of ink that you would want to use if you were using your alcohol markers. And the Memento being water-based, you would use those with your alcohol based markers. The difference too is that the StazOn ink is a little more of a vibrant color. So that's what I'm going to use now. The thing is, if you use this, say on photopolymer stamps, there is no way you're getting that ink off your photopolymer stamp. Your stamp is basically, it's going to stay black. If you try using the StazOn cleaner with it, just by using that, you're going to be spreading the ink, and then your photopolymer stamp is no longer going to, you're not going to be able to see through it at all, because now that black ink is now spread all over the whole stamp. I know this because I ended up doing that one time and it didn't work out very well. We're using the red rubber stamps, and I have found, now I'm using my Stampin' Scrub to clean my stamps. So one side is a wet side. You would spray your cleaner on one side. The other side is dry, and that's what you would use to dry your stamps. And I find that if I clean my stamp right away, then I don't have the black staining on the red rubber. Now, with the red rubber, you can use the StazOn cleaner on it and then just wipe it off and then use your scrubber to clean it even, to clean it better, and it'll be fine. It'll be back to the red rubber. So just a little tip, on the Stays On ink. Now I did re-ink this, so it's definitely very inky. Want to make sure that I got good ink coverage on my stamp. And I'm going to stamp that right here. Okay. And then on this piece of Smoky Slate, I am going to stamp this greeting that says, "To a frightfully good friend." And I'm going to ink that up really well. And I'm going to stamp that right here. Okay, I'm going to close this up. Okay, and then I'm going to, let me bring in my Stampin' Scrub. And I'm going to clean my stamps. And you'll see that they do come clean if you do it right away. Now the other thing too about this Stays On cleaner and photopolymer stamps, the cleaner, it does have like a petroleum based like cleaner in it. So if you use it on your photopolymer stamps and you do not rinse and wash off your stamps right away, what'll happen, that cleaner will actually start to break down your photopolymer stamps and it will actually ruin them. So you want to take caution to wind when you go to use that Stays On cleaner on your photopolymer stamps. All right, so now with this piece right here, now I had to stamp it first in order to do this next part. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I am using the Cobwebs 3D embossing folder, and I am going to emboss this. So I'll line this in here. Now there is a line right here to line up my cardstock. And let me bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now, since this is a 3D embossing folder, all I need is the base plate number one, and then the number 4 embossing plate. Okay, so I'm going to take this, place this down here, put that on there, and then I'm going to crank it through. And I apologize for the shaking in advance. The stand that I have my phone in is attached to the table, so I can't avoid that. Okay, so there's our piece. Put that aside. All right, now let me get this out of the way. Okay, so now let me take my card base and fold and burnish that. Okay, and then I'm going to take, no, we're not going to do anything with this quite yet, because we're going to use some ribbon on there. So I have, for my other colored inks, I'm going to use Cajun Craze, and then on my cat, I'm going to color in its eyes, the nose, and the, yeah. Word just escaped me what it's called. Yeah, the thing around, wow, I forgot the word. I seriously forgot the word, and you're probably yelling at me as to what it is, but yeah, we're going to color that in as well. Now I'm going to bring in some scrap paper. Let's see. And So this DSP that I have here, I'm going to bring in my small blending brush, and we're going to add a little bit of color onto this DSP. So I'm going to get some ink, make sure I get some of that heavy excess off, and I'm just going to go right around the outer edge of it. Putting a little more concentrated color on the corners. Okay, and then I'm going to just lightly brush over the rest of this. So there's a lighter tint of this Cajun Craze, like so. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside, and I'll close this up. We'll move that. Okay, so then on my cat collar, that's what it is. I don't know what it is. You know, you hit record on your camera, and then all of a sudden the brain power just goes away and you forget words. And okay, so for coloring this in, I'm going to use my Stampin' Write markers. Again, because I use the StazOn ink, the StazOn ink, it is a solvent ink. So if you were to use your alcohol markers with this ink, what you would be doing, you would be smearing the black ink. Now, by using the water-based Stampin' Write markers, I can color this and there would be no problem with this ink smearing at all. So just what you need to remember when using the StazOn, when it comes to the markers, use your Stampin' Write. When using your Stampin' Blends, which are the alcohol markers, use your Memento Tuxedo black ink. Now, in addition to the Memento ink, you can also use any of our water-based colored inks as well. Okay, so for this, the coloring is going to be very, very simple. I'm just going to come in and I'm going to color the eyes with the Lemon Lime Twist. And then the nose I'm going to do in Smoky Slate. And then for the collar, I'm going to do this in Cajun Craze. Okay, and then that little charm or whatever that's off of the collar, I'm going to leave that because I'm going to put a rhinestone on that. Now, I'm going to bring in my 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and I'm going to punch this out. And when I do this, I'm going to bring the base of the body of the cat down to, I'm going to bring it like to the edge, like so, so you don't see any white underneath it. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in my 2-inch circle punch, and I am going to die cut, not die cut, I'm going to punch out my basic black. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take this paper here. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of it. And I'm going to place this here on my embossed Smoky Slate piece. I'll line that up straight. Okay. Press that down Okay, and then I'm also going to bring in the glittered organdy ribbon. This is black. And I'm going to cut myself a piece here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap this around. So I don't need a very big piece. And put that pin back on this. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in my Scotch tape. I'm going to use this to hold it down on the back of this. Okay. So I'm going to go over where the DSP meets that cardstock. I'll fold that over, take that down, and then do the same thing on this side. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to pull this down just a little tiny bit. Okay, then I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. Okay, we'll put it on our card base. We'll center that like so. Okay, and then for the circle with my cat on it, I'm going to add adhesive to the back of this. I'm going to center that on my black circle when it's centered. Okay. And let's get rid of this glitter that came off of that. And then I'm going to add some dimensionals. And for this one, I'm going to use my black dimensionals. A few of those. Okay. And then for this, I'm going to put this kind of like at an angle. Right over here like so. Okay, and then my embellishments, I am using our rhinestone basic jewels. And I'm going to add one of our smaller ones right here, hanging off of the collar. And then with these rhinestones, there's 3 different sizes, so I'm going to add a larger one there, and then a medium one right up here, like so. Okay, so there is our first card. So let me get the stuff for my second. Okay. So we're going to use the cat again on this. And this time we're kind of using a lot of these other images in here. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right, so let's get our blocks. Okay, so let's kind of move those all out of the way. Now for my pieces, let me pull those all out. So I have from my card base, this is a piece of basic gray. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have another piece of basic gray. This measures 5. This is actually the whole size of the card base, so it's 5.5 by 4.25. And ahead of time, I had embossed it using that Cobwebs 3D embossing folder. And then I have 2 scraps of basic white. So let me take my card base and we'll fold and burnish that. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. And on this piece here, I'm going to bring in another ribbon. And this one is, what is this one called? This is the metallic mesh ribbon. This is what it looks like. It's very fine, kind of like a weave type of thing. So I'm going to take this, and just like what I did with the other piece, I'm doing the same thing with this. I'm going to cut a piece and then get my tape. Okay, and then I want this to go down the center. So I'm going to fold that over and try and tape this like so. And then this side. Do the same thing. Okay, and then for this, I'm going to take my liquid glue for this. This is our Tombow multi-purpose glue. I have it in a fine tip glue bottle. I got these off of Amazon. I'm going to add some onto here. Okay, and then I'm going to attach this to my card base. And again, this is the same size, so it's going to fit perfectly on here. And press that down. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. All right, then let me bring in the inks that we're going to be using. So I have Berry Burst, Bumblebee, Pumpkin Pie, Gorgeous Grape, Granny Apple Green, and then I'm also going to use my StazOn Black as well. So on these two pieces, on these two scraps, actually I think I need to clean this particular stamp. Looks like there's still something on it. Okay. Okay. All right, so then this is a red rubber set that has the foam on it, but I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut, not my Stampin' Cut, my Stampin' Pierce mat. This is good for when you're using photopolymer stamps, but I'm going to use it for these. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp each of these images in a different color. So I am going to start with my Berry Burst. And my greeting that says, "It's not a trick, just a treat." And I'm going to ink this up. And I really ink this up. And I'm going to stamp this down. I'm going to try not rocking it. And I apologize that my light is reflecting on the block. Okay. And then let me bring in my Stays On Black and my bird cage. Trying to get the bird that's in the middle, get that inked up. Okay. And I'm going to stamp this right here. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in like the zombie or Dracula, whichever this one is. And I'm going to bring in my pumpkin pie. And this is very inky. I'm going to stamp this one right over here. And I went off. So when it does that, I'm going to flip this over. And let me bring in my Stampin' Scrub. And while I'm at it, let me clean this. See, if you get it early enough where it's, you know, you didn't leave it sit there for a long time, you can get that ink off. Now, if I didn't clean it right away and I just kind of left it, then I would need the Stays On cleaner to get that off. Okay, so I got all those kind of cleaned up. So let me try that again. This time, not press in as much. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the back of my spoon. I'm going to press some of this ink into the ink pad. And let me see if I can get this kind of cleaned off. So that way I don't get ink all over everything. Okay. Now let's try this again. Okay, I'm going to stamp that right over here. Okay, that's much better. Okay, and then what I'm going to bring in, so I'm going to do this part first and then I'll stamp the rest of them. I'm going to punch these out. And this is the Essential Tag Punch. And on these, I'm going to line them up in my punch like so. Okay, let's flip this over. I'll line this up in there. Okay. And then now let me put those aside and let me stamp the other 3 images. Okay, so then I'm going to get, let's see, this one right here, and I want my bumblebee. Okay, ink this up. And I'm going to stamp this right here. Okay. And then bring in my gorgeous grape and the cat. Okay. And then our Granny Apple Green and the witch. I'll stamp that right over here. Okay, I think you could see that that's really inky as well. Actually, I'm going to redo that one too. Let me get that spoon again. Okay. I'm going to clean this spoon before I put it back. Okay. So let's stamp that again. Do it on this side. Stamp that right here. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. All right, let me just move that aside. I'm going to clean these stamps so then that way I don't get ink on anything. Now, I didn't put anything on the inside of these cards because I used the darker cardstock. You can add a piece of basic white that measures 5 1/4 by 4, and you can stamp whatever greeting you want on there, or you can just leave it blank and write whatever greeting that you want inside of it. All right, so I'm going to bring this punch in again. But this time, I want to punch it out where the top part of this tag is at the bottom. So I'm going to line that up. Punch that out. I got the cat. And then no, we want it this way. Okay. Okay, so then we got all our pieces here. All right, so What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of tape and I'm going to adhere these pieces together. I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet. It'll make it a little bit easier for me to see where I got these lined up to make sure that they're lined up. I'll just take a little piece. I'll line these up like so. And I'm just going to tape them together. Make it a little bit easier when I go to assemble. Okay, and then the cat and the birdhouse, I'm going to put those together. So line these up. Okay. All right, and then let's make sure we got the right sides. Yeah. Okay, so now let me move this out of the way. And I'm going to add dimensionals to the backs of these. And let me see, do I need to get more dimensionals? I actually do. Hold on for one moment. Forgot to pull out another package. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add one in each of these corners and then one in the middle. So this week is a very busy video week. So again, being that it's Thursday, it's my Throwback Thursday. And being that Halloween falls on this Thursday, so happy Halloween to those of you who do celebrate it. And then I have on Friday, so then tomorrow, okay, the 1st of November, I have my monthly Christmas card inspiration. I do those on the 1st of each month. And then I have my Friday Night Live. And my Friday Night Live, that I will go live at 7 p.m. Lately, I've been popping on live about 15 minutes earlier, and that's just to set up the video. For some reason, I can't set everything up ahead of time and schedule it because for some reason, YouTube flips the orientation to vertical, and for doing this, vertical orientation is not good. You don't see much of my work surface, so I have to do that until it gets fixed. So I haven't heard anything as of yet about it. So yeah, so I'll have my Friday Night Live 7 p.m. Central Standard Time right here. So yeah, 4 videos this week, and it was a pretty busy weekend last weekend. Being that we're coming up to the end of this month and starting a new month, and I'm going to take these now, I'm going to adhere these. So I'm going to do the 2 outer ends So these will go on first, and then I will put this middle one on. So I've already, over the weekend, I had uh, decided on all the products that I'm using for my videos for the whole month of November. I started putting together my newsletter. Now the newsletter, it probably won't go out until Tuesday, because what I like to do is every month Stampin' Up! Comes out with 2 new kits, and I'd like to add, picture and description in my newsletter, so I don't see them until it'll probably be the 5th in which I'll be able to see it. So it'll be a little bit late on going out, but I did get as much done as I could. Now, if you're interested in receiving my newsletter, typically I send it out, I send one a month, and towards, like I said, near the beginning of the month. And if if there's anything that happens, like say mid-month, that Stampin' Up! Lets us know later on, then I may send another one, but for the most part it's usually just one a month. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to center this between the two. I'm going to move that over just a little bit. And pull that up. Oops, now it's too over. It's over too much. Okay, and I'm going to bring my rhinestones in again. Okay, so this one, let's see. I'm going to take one of these larger ones, and we're going to add it right here in the center of this birdcage hanger. So I'll take another large one and I'll add it to the center of this moon. And then I'll take a smaller one and put it over here on top of the bubbles where the witch is. Okay, so there is the second card. Let me bring in the first one that we did. So here's the one with the cat. So as I was mentioning about my newsletter, if you're interested in receiving my newsletter, you will see a link for it below in the description. When you click on that link, it will take you to a form where you just add your name and your email address. And that way, when I go to send out my newsletter, you will be on that list to receive it. And again, like I said, it may not be until the 5th that I get it out. And if you request to receive my newsletter and it's after the fact, not a problem. I will still send, that month's newsletter out to you. I think as far as any other information, I think I covered everything. So if you like the projects that I made for this Throwback Thursday, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. That little, in this bottom corner here, that little microphone icon that you see, if you click on that's to subscribe to the channel. What it does, it helps with the algorithm in YouTube. The more between the content that I put out, the more interaction that there is on my channel as far as, likes and shares and subscriptions and comments and all that. YouTube puts it out there where more people are seeing my videos. And it not only helps in growing my channel, it also helps me in building my Stampin' Up! Business. So again, I thank you everyone for joining me for this episode. And I have another one coming out to you today. It's my holiday video for Halloween, and I hope that you will give that one a peek. And then be sure to join me tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time right here, and I will be going live and I will be featuring the Reindeer Days Sweet Collection. This is, so we're starting Christmas in November and pretty much through the rest of the year. So I hope that you can join me then. So everyone, be safe, happy Halloween, and have a blessed one. Bye bye.